What's up, ballers? Jacob here with All Drive No Drop, and I'm pretty excited to bring you this one. This is the ultimate guide to hybrid pickleball paddles that I have been able to review and test. Every time I do a review, there are always questions. How does this paddle compare for power and pop and spin, all those questions? Well, this is just, if you're looking for the hybrid shape, I got all my stats here. I'm gonna break them down, put them on screen. We're gonna walk through all the stats real quick at first, and then we're gonna break it down by power, pop, swing weight, twist weight, probably something else I might throw in the mix, and then we're gonna kind of put them on the screen. We're gonna lay them out and go from control to power within the range of the paddles that I have. And then at the very end, if I have gameplay and gameplay thoughts for them, I'm going to timestamp them down in the description so that you can go watch any of the paddles you're interested in. Then it'll all be in this video, and of course I'll link the full reviews down in the comments. But let's jump into those full breakdown. I'm going to put on the screen here everything, and this right now, I've got most of the paddles I have stats for hybrids. We have 14 different paddles here. Right now it's sorted by price, so the most expensive down to the bottom of the cheapest, and this is the price after discount. And now, one thing you have to keep in mind when we're going through all this data, paddles come in at different weights, and that is going to affect all these stats except for the price, of course. So it's going to affect the power, the pop, the swing weight, twist weight. If I got something that's going to be on the lighter range of the paddle, it's going to affect those things. So just keep in mind. And of course, I'm a human. There's human error. There's going to be errors in the testing. I've tested these paddles at different times throughout the year. I hope I'm getting better. I have better days. I have bad days. So just keep that in mind. But that's why I try to put these paddles in the control to power spectrum, just based on these paddles with my personal experience, and give you the best idea. But anyway, this is the table. Go ahead, feel free to screenshot that, take a look at it, and then we'll move on to the next one here, and we'll start off with power. So we have the power here ranked. My top performing power paddles were the J2K Pro, the Mark 1, Thrive Azul, and then we get into the Ruby 16mm Honolulu J2K Core Shapeshifter. So most of these paddles are Gen 2, thermoformed unibody paddles, perimeter edge foam, except for the Batic Prism Flash, which kind of shows, it's lower on the list here. But basically, if you're looking for the most powerful paddles, look, these aren't, none of the hybrids that I've tested are like, if I was to put these paddles on a spectrum with, all paddles, I'm not going to call any of these exactly the power paddles. I would say the top three here are all court leaning power, but I wouldn't classify them as pure power paddles. They're just more all court leaning power, whereas more of the elongated paddles I would classify as power. But this just gives you an idea of how they rank with power. Let's move into the pop real quick. Now we're going into the pop, and like I said again, pop is probably, I would say, is going to be the hardest one to quantify, because my punch is going to be different than other people's punches. And so it's part the paddle and it's part my punch. So it's really hard to compare other people's data to mine. I just want to put that out there because everyone's going to have a different experience with pop. That's probably the hardest one to just get on the same page with. But my top four, I feel pretty confident in. The Mark 1, Thrive Azul, Honolulu J2K Pro, Ruby 14mm. I think if I went and tested all these again and ran it again, I think those would still be my top four. Those are, if you're looking for pop, those are the ones. And then the 6-0 Black Diamond Infinity definitely has pop. It has a very low swing weight, so I think that one is one, if you have a really quick punch and you have good hand speed, that one might be able to generate more pop than everything just because of how low the swing weight is. It just depends on the day. And then we go down to like some of the softer ones, like the Ruby 16mm and the Pickleball Blue, Batic Prism Flash, 6-0 double Black Diamond, Neonic Flow. All those on the lower pop range, still pretty good though. I mean, it's not like the Flow and the DVD, like still very successful for the pop and hands battles. It just depends what you're looking for. Let's move into swing weight real quick. So swing weight, this is the only list I have going from the lowest to the highest because, you know, people are always interested in the lower swing weight. But sometimes that lower swing weight doesn't come with the stats that we exactly want. You know, lower swing weight probably going to mean lower twist weight, going to mean lower power, but it's probably going to mean higher pop. Just depends. So, you know, the top of the list, 6-0 Black Diamond Infinity. So you know, I enjoyed my time with that paddle, but it wasn't a great connection for me. Like, I just couldn't see myself using it extensively. But a ton of people do enjoy it. A lot of people seem to like it. And it is an edgeless paddle. It's got the low swing weight. It lets you, you know, customize it how you want. Looks pretty good. I do like the looks. Ruby 14 millimeter. By the time this video comes out, I'll have my individual review on the Ruby 14. Definitely one of my favorite ones. And, you know, at the 112 swing weight, I think a lot of people will find that perfect balance of a hybrid paddle in the 14 millimeter, a little softer feel with the Kevlar. And then Honolulu J2K Pro, J2K, some of my favorite hybrid paddles on the list, 6-0 DBD 16 millimeter, one of the all-time favorites for hybrids amongst, you know, just the people. And then as we go higher, I mean, my Ruby came in high on the higher end of the range. I think 6-0 says their average is 115. I know they're always changing their manufacturing process, so I'm not sure on that. And then, of course, we got to note the Thrive Azul. You can pick your swing weight on their site, so that's an awesome feature that Thrive offers. And then, you know, nothing's too heavy to swing around here, in my opinion. Everything's fine to play with. It just depends. If you really, really want that lower swing weight, then you're looking at the Ruby 14 and the 6-0 Black Diamond Infinity. If you're okay with that mid-range, then, you know, that's pretty much everything on this list. So, twist weight. Woo! Yeah, Honolulu J2K takes it away with the highest twist weight. They don't do the taper, so it goes all the way down. So you just get a really solid paddle. I mean, I think it plays true. The J2K just does not twist in your hands. I'm still playing it stock. I was playing it with some weight. I had 2 grams on 4 and 8 o'clock. And honestly, I just feel like it's the way to go. Play it stock. I mean, add weight, do whatever you want. It just is such a solid paddle. You don't feel it twisting when you go to block and reset on these, you know, these hard drives, these hard overheads that you're trying to get back. And then really we get down the list. If you go down 6-0 Black Diamond Infinity, definitely the one that I have the most problems with twisting. I think you really, really need to play it with weight. You don't have to. It's not like you know, it's not as bad as the twist weight makes it out to be, but it's, you know, it's not the most stable. And then Bread and Butter Loco also plays above the twist weight, but still, you know, under extreme pressure, it's still twisting just a little bit. Everything else on their list, pretty much fine. I mean, I was really impressed with the Shapeshifter and the Azul. They're very stable paddles. So, and same with the 6-0 Double Black Diamond. And then for the Ruby 14 millimeter as well, for being a 14 millimeter, good. And then also the Flow, no problem there. Prism Flash, fine as well. Really, the 6-0 Black Diamond Infinity is the one I'm worried most about with not adding weight, but that's just kind of an edgeless side effect. So let's get into the breakdown of the paddles from control, all court, or power. So we're looking at the paddles. Are they control, all court, or power? And this is just based on these 14 paddles. I'm not talking about anything else. I'm talking about these 14 hybrids. So if we're going with the Mark 1, Thrive Azul, and J2K Pro at the end of the power spectrum, I'm saying that they're setting the mark, right? No pun intended. And then on the control, we're talking about the Vatic Prism Flash, the Picklin Electo Blue, Bread and Butter Loco, Neonic Flow. Those are more on the control side, right? I'm not saying that they're the best control paddles, but they kind of, you know, in this case, they are, except for some of the wide bodies. But and then for the power, like, I'm not saying that any of these power paddles are the same as a gearbox, okay? Not saying that. Just saying this is the spectrum. Okay, got that clarified, I hope. So this is just kind of how I place these paddles when we're talking about these 14. You know, we got the all courts with the J2K, the Picklin, Electo Green, the DBD, of course, Shapeshifter, Ruby 16 millimeter. And then we do have kind of like an outlier here with the Black Diamond Infinity, because I wasn't sure, you know, it isn't a powerful paddle, but it's a poppy paddle. So how do you place that into this list? I just decided that it's, you know, going in between the all court and power because, you know, it's poppier, but it doesn't have the top end power. But, you know, hit me in the comments if you think that's wrong. But because I can't put it in the control, it's not a control paddle, right? That's how I broke down this list. I think it's useful to just kind of see a visual representation, and then, you know, you can do what you want with. Okay, as you see here, I just have my stack of everything on the list. I'm gonna go from what I have as the most control oriented, and I'm gonna go all the way up to the most power. I'm just gonna give you my brief thoughts on each one in case that's what you're looking for, and then to wrap up at the end of the video, like I said, we're going to have the gameplay thoughts and the gameplay footage of some of the paddles. Not going to have all 14 because it'd be too long. It's already going to be pretty long. And just go ahead and skip to what you want. That's fine. Or listen to it in podcast form. I don't know. We're talking about the Vatic Prism Flash. This one is, I think, the only non-thermoform paddle on the list. Just a little softer. A little good control, solid premium handle. I really enjoy playing with this once in a while just to remind myself of what pickleball was more like when I first started with the Hyperion. So that's that. That's for, you know, I wouldn't recommend it to more advanced players, but look, you know, some people like that control and handle the power themselves. Pickle and Electo. This is the softest paddle for a Gen 2 paddle that I've played with. Really nice, really nice. So if you're looking to just have, you know, a great feel, give this brand a chance. Really enjoy playing with this one. You know, it's nothing, you know, super special, but that characteristic of being very soft, I think a lot of people like. So that is that. Bread and Butter Loco. Okay, this one, super nice looking paddle, nice and crisp. This one, I think, is going to be one of the most subjective feeling paddles because a lot of people that really enjoy this, they just have really good placement with their shots and they feel like they can just manipulate the ball very well. I did get that, but not to the level a lot of people were having. So while I did enjoy it, I just didn't get there to like some people did. So the good thing about Bread and Butter, though, you get to try their paddles for 30 days, and if you don't like it, you get to return it. So always appreciate that because that means even if you are not sure about it, you can get it risk-free and try it out. Neonic Flow. Great price paddle, $117. I should say the prices for these. Let's see if I can do it off the top of my head. But the Neonic Flow, one of the best control paddles that I played with. I felt like I just have amazing touch with this paddle. It gets elite spin. I like the shape. You have a custom molded shape for them. So no problems there for a $117 paddle. It just performs extremely well. 6-0 Double Black Diamond, one of, you know, the OG, is it the OG hybrid? I think it is. Just performs, it's just a great all-court paddle. You know, doesn't do anything exceptionally well, but does everything pretty good all around, and a very fun paddle. Gives you good connection to the ball. And honestly, it's very popular for a reason. A lot of people pick it up, and they play with it, and they really enjoy it. Ruby 16mm. I mean, if you've watched my channel, you already know that I recommend the Honolulu J2K over this paddle. I know they're always continually saying they're making manufacturing progress and everything, but I mean, I just can't recommend it over the J2K at this time. Price, performance, everything, but it's still not a bad paddle. It's still a really good paddle. So if you just want to stick with the 6-0 branding and you like it, it's still very solid. Picklin Atletico. Like I got some decent pop with this thing. I know some people were saying it's, you know, a little softer. It's not stiff, but I was still getting good pop. It's very lightweight. I would add weight to it. It feels a little light to play stock. I would add 3 grams here and start out with it, but very enjoyable experience. You know, similar feel, I would say. It's not as soft as like the J2K and the Ruby, but close, and a good all-court leaning paddle. Core Shapeshifter. This was the last paddle that I've actually tried out on this list, and pleasantly surprised I mean, I just had to try it out. There was so much hype behind it. Just in my opinion, a better fit for me than like the 6-0 double black diamond, because it just has a little bit more power and pop while still maintaining pretty good control. I would say if you are one that tends to not like pop because you pop things up, then you would probably want to go with the DBD over this. But honestly, very pleasant experience with this paddle. I really like that some companies are adding that fiberglass layer. I think it adds an extra boost while for the power and the pop, while not sacrificing too much control and not adding, you know, too much weight. So it's a great option. I like this, you know, I like how in the sun these shapes change. It's very cool design, very cool brand. I look forward to seeing what else they come out with. Now the J2K from Honolulu Pickleball is probably my #1 option on this list. For me, I think it just fits the best all around. It does everything you want it to do. It has good power, has okay pop, has great spin, has the best stability on the list. So yeah, there's a reason why the J2K is getting so much hype. It's because it's really, really, really good. And you know, if you're looking for my top recommendation, it's going to be this, but it's not going to be the best fit for everyone because it doesn't, you know, excel at any one category except for that twist weight. Obviously, you saw it took #1. But yeah, one of my favorites, if you know, if not my favorite hybrid on the list. 6-0 double black diamond infinity. This one is, you know, it's towards the bottom on my list just because it's so unstable compared to the other paddles. I mean, it's not like it's the least stable paddle on the market. It's just on this list, it's hard to compete. And for the price, what is it, like $190 something? It's expensive, okay? And I really am not a huge fan of edgeless. So I would wait till they upgrade this to the next. I know they're working on an upgraded version of this, so I definitely just wait if you are looking to get this, or you could probably pick it up used. But yeah, I would wait till they upgrade. They're looking to upgrade the twist weight while keeping the swing weight low. And if they do that, which you know, we'll talk about this next one, which they hit a home run with. But so 6-0 Ruby 14mm. This one is very good. I need to I'm still trying to pick my paddle that I'm going to use, but I love this paddle. This is really fun. Good pop, still decent power for a 14mm, and then it got that low 112 swing weight. So I think a lot of people are gonna like this because they're looking for that low swing weight, but they don't want to sacrifice their control and their power, and they want some good pop. Then 6-0 Ruby 14mm, I think is going to fit the bill for a lot of people that were looking for something like this because there wasn't really an option for a 14mm hybrid in Kevlar, right? I'm not sure if anyone else has that, so that's, you know, it's fitting a place in the market that no one else has. Mark 1, you know, love this paddle. So the Mark Kinetic came a lot stiffer. This one's not as stiff as the Mark Kinetic. They softened it up a little bit, but I didn't find that it affected the performance. Still get great power and great pop with this. Definitely more of the offensive paddles on this list, but if that's what you're looking for, you can't go wrong with this. They do make another hybrid option that has a longer handle. I haven't got enough playtime with that one to really put it on this list, and that's why it's not on there. But I just wanted to mention that because it's called the Mark 1X. So if you're looking for the longer handle, give that a shot. Thrive Azul. So this one, you know, Thrive's a cool company because they let you pick the swing weight of your paddle. And I was just trying to gauge, you know, the market. Like, is that important to you? Can you pick the swing weight? And it seems like it's really split because a lot of the people I play with, they don't even know what swing weight is. And if they do know, it's because I keep talking about pickleball paddles, swing weights, and twist weights, and other stuff. But yeah, I would say like the general market doesn't really care about swing weight until they learn what it is. And then they're like, maybe I do care. So it's more of just like introducing what swing weight is and how it affects your play. But anyway, love that you can pick the swing weight. And, you know, a poppy, powerful paddle. This is the stiffest paddle on the list, in my opinion. So if you like that stiffer feeling, Thrive Azul. If you don't, it's not going to be the Thrive Azul. But just keep that in mind. Fun paddle. I like the look of this, too. I like that they put their logo there. I wish more people put, like, you know, a nice, clean-looking logo on the front instead of just kind of being blah. I personally like a little something. And then finally, J2K Pro. I know that some people are saying that there's no difference between the J2K Pro and the J2K. I just disagree. I don't know what else to say. Maybe it's, you know, just the paddles I got, paddles they got. I don't know. But I found it very poppy, found it very powerful. I found it a little hard to control. So that's why in my review of the J2K and J2K Pro, I recommended the J2K. And if I were to rank the power paddles on this list, I would go Mark 1, Thrive Azul, and then J2K Pro, because I just found the Thrive Azul and Mark 1 to be a better playing experience. And so that's for my power. And then, you know, for all core, I would go Honolulu J2K, core Shapeshifter, 6-0 double black diamond. And then kind of in between, if you're going between the all core and power, I would go with the Ruby 14mm if you're looking for the lower. Well, I guess that would be kind of like, if you're looking for the best low swing weight, I would go with the Ruby 14mm. And then if we're talking control, you know, just pure control, and you're looking to still have, you know, the thermoform power, because for me, Vatic Prism Flash is fun and it's cheap, but I would still probably go with the Neonic Flow. And then I would go with either the bread and butter Loco if you're looking for the, you know, the crisper feel, or the Pickle and Blue Electo, which is really soft and really enjoyable. This video is going to be long, I know. So if you made it to this conclusion, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm going to do the same thing for standard and wide body paddles as well. And I'm probably going to do it for elongated. So feel free to drop any comments. If you think I should change things, you think I should run it back and do it the same way, let me know, because I know this is a lot of stuff. So we're going to wrap that up. That's my list. That's my ultimate list. I'm sure by the end of the year, I'm going to have to update it. But for now, summer 2024, there we are. And now I will run the gameplay and gameplay thoughts for the end, and you can check those out if you want. I've got all the timestamps there if you want to go through. And let's see, what else we got going on? A lot of cool stuff coming up this summer. It's going to be a busy one. So thank you all for watching. Please subscribe, like, and comment. I love hearing what you guys have to say. I love hearing what everyone has to say. Really appreciate the support. And as always, go play some pickleball.
So the J2K is my favorite Kevlar hybrid paddle. It might be my favorite hybrid paddle. I still haven't come to the complete determination, but honestly, it's just amazing. I mean, if you're comparing it directly to the Ruby at that price point, I really don't see why you would even get the Ruby. I mean, it's just, I think it's in every way it's better, except the Ruby gets a little bit more power, and that's really just because the Ruby is on average heavier. So you can get more power or get the same amount of power with the J2K. It feels plush. The feeling is, you know, you get that soft muted feeling. Those resets, the blocks feel effortless. You don't get a lot of twisting. You don't get twisting on blocking those drives. It feels so smooth blocking drives and resetting the ball. Requires minimal effort. Great spin. The ball dwells on it just as much as the Ruby. You don't get as much spin at the start. You don't get as much spin as the Ruby at the start of the paddles, but the Ruby's grit wears off a little faster, and then they become about the same. So great drive serves with those shots just dipping nice. Enough room for your two-handed backhands. The handle is the handle and the stock grip is better than the Ruby's too. Really enjoy the handle that they have on this thing. The power level just slightly below the Ruby. Like I said, the lower swing weight, lower stock weight is what's doing that. You can generate more pop with this thing. The one thing I had a problem with the Ruby is I wasn't getting enough pop. You can get a little bit more pop with this, just enough where you're going to be happy, and the room to add weight. It felt super quick in my hands at the net. Hands battles are so solid with this. The stability, the power, the pop combo to finish points at the net, and then dinking with this is just a breeze. I mean, it just feels like a natural fit. The net, just dink, two-handed backhands. Since you're, two hands fit, you have so much control with the large sweet spot. That just feels great. And then drops are so smooth with this thing. I was hitting some of the best drops I've hit. Talked about in my last video how I think hybrid paddles are the best for drops, and this rings true with this paddle.
Okay, so the Ruby 14mm is more of an offensive paddle than the 16mm because it has a lower swing weight, which makes your hands more maneuverable, which makes you could generate more pop. So for me, that is what I prefer. I have fast hands. I like to go after paddles that increase my strength generally. So I really enjoyed this with this 14 millimeter and in the Kevlar. It's not as soft and muted as the 16 millimeter, but it's still softer and less feedback than you would get from a carbon fiber 14 millimeter, say like the Mach 2 Forza 14 millimeter, something like that. So if you like that feeling of the 16 millimeter Ruby, but you were like, ah man, it's too heavy for me to swing, it's not going to be as soft, but it is like kind of in between the two of carbon fiber 14 millimeter and then the 16 millimeter Kevlar Ruby. So with all that said, it performs very well. You get great spin, still getting, you know, towards the elite end of spin, and you're still getting pretty decent power. My serve drives, maybe just a, you know, it's gonna be not as much as a 16 millimeter, but I was still finishing points with my overheads. Roll volleys felt great because, you know, roll volleys, it's kind of like in between the pop and the power, depending on how big of a swing you're taking. So sometimes it's helping, sometimes maybe you're not hitting as far. And then if like dinking, no problem. It's not popping it up. It's more of like a pop. You're getting a little bit of pop, extra pop from that thinner core, but then you're getting a little bit more pop from that lower swing weight. So no problems popping up the ball. The twist weight a little bit lower than the 16 millimeter, but the sweet spot felt really good on this. Honestly, not too much of a drop off, and I didn't have any issues with it twisting in my hand. I tried it with a little bit of lead tape at 4 and 8 o'clock, 3 grams. I didn't like it. I think that it plays really well stock because this is a really great combination of swing weight, twist weight in a hybrid shape. I didn't want to change it. It just wasn't feeling as good as the stock, so I really like the stock version. Drops felt pretty good on this. Some people like the 14 millimeter. It seems to, for drives and drops, it seems like you can keep the ball lower a little easier. I found that to play very true with this paddle. It was very easy to keep my drives low, keep my drop where I wanted them, and so I didn't really have any issues with control, and resetting and blocking felt very smooth. It's not as good as the 16 millimeter, but it's close enough where I get the extra maneuverability advantage. I'm happy with the trade-off that you get on the 14 millimeter. I really enjoyed it. I think this paddle excels at getting you to the net, getting you into those hands battles, and it doesn't take away your drives and your drops that you had super smooth ones with the 16 millimeter. So I think if you were wanting to keep the great qualities that the 16 millimeter Ruby had and you're looking to gain that extra pop, the extra maneuverability, this is going to be a great fit for you. So let's get into the gameplay for the Thrive Azul. I really enjoyed this paddle. It is a power paddle. It has power, it has pop, it has spin. So it has great power and pop combo. For some that can be challenging for the resets and the dinking, but let's focus on what this paddle excels at first, and then we'll get into where it might give you issues. It is a stiff paddle, so we'll get that out of the way. It does have a little bit of feedback, vibration feedback, being very stiff. It has great serves, great drives, great overheads with that power. I had no problem keeping the ball deep on my serves, no problem ripping drives, finishing overheads, ripping my rolls, forehand and backhand, great flicks, great counter punches with all of that pop. I really enjoyed it. I really like the hybrid shape for drops, and so I love the drops with this. It felt really smooth. I do enjoy a little bit more feedback with my paddles when I'm hitting my drops, so I'm still working out that for the full Kevlars that are a little more muted. This paddle really excels if you want to big serves. It'll let you hit those drops, and then it will let you get to the net and establish yourself with a lot of pop. The counters on this thing hit very hard. It's great to flick with, great to speed up off the bounce. So working your way up to the net though, the resets and transition, it does pop off the paddle very fast. This is one of the paddles that for its pop, it's not generating the pop a lot from the swing weight. I would say it's, 85% the paddle, 15% the lower swing weight. I mean, it's not even that low. It's just lower than elongated paddles on average. With all that pop, resetting the ball, you need to soften your hands up a little bit. But it's definitely doable, and the sweet spot is very large.
The twist weight played true to its nature. I had no trouble blocking drives. Didn't feel the paddle twisting in my hand. I don't think you need to add lead tape, but if you wanted to add lead tape to the throat to soften the paddle up just a little bit, it's not going to change the paddle drastically, but it can help. It can help with that vibration. So you can do that to help with the resets. But I adjusted to the paddle fine. I was able to reset the ball well. I was able to dink well. I think the biggest problem that I had with the paddle is that with all that pop and all that power, sometimes you can leave those dinks a little high. It's not from a mishit, it's more of just misjudging how much I need to put on the ball or how soft I need to make my hands when I'm taking the ball out of the air for a dink or even a roll. So like if I'm hitting the dink, cross court, and I'm taking it out of the air with my backhand, sometimes I'd pop it up a little bit more than I would with the other paddles, but that's just something that with more time you'll adjust to. Spin on this, great, not going to give you any issues. I was hitting all my drops, all my serves, all my rolls and my drives. This ball was dipping just fine. So those are the big pros. It's a power paddle. It's a big pop paddle. If you like that and you want that and you want to pick your swing weight, then you're going to like this paddle. For the price, we'll talk more about that in the conclusion. I think it's not a terrible price. It does feel like a premium paddle. I do like it.
So the Bread and Butter Loco performs very well on the court. If I were to classify it as a control all court or power paddle, it's definitely leaning more towards the control area. The power is just average for a paddle these days. It's not going to blow you away, but it's not going to leave you hanging either. So you definitely aren't going to be able to access extreme power with it, but I didn't have any problems with my drives and my serves and my overheads. If you are looking for that extra power in a paddle and you're looking for that hybrid shape, then this wouldn't be for you. But if you're okay with that, just like the average thermoform power, you're going to enjoy it. Where this paddle really excels is getting to the net. Has great control. The resets and the blocks are good. So getting to the net and then dinking and hands battles, that's where this really excels. It's super maneuverable. I felt really comfortable with my dinks. I had great roll and spin on my dinks. Some people have said that the grittier texture allows you to get a little bit more spin on those shorter strokes, and I think that does ring true for me. I had great luck with my flicks and my rolls with how maneuverable this paddle is, and it is. So the swing weight's 114, but another factor is this is a 7.8 ounce average paddle. Mine came in exactly at 7.8 ounces. So it just makes it super light in your hands. You don't feel like it's ever weighing you down. So just like moving back and forth, going forehand to backhand in hands battles felt really good. Just felt like I could, place the ball to wherever I wanted when I was hitting my rolls and hitting those speed ups. So really enjoyed it in the hands battles and anything at the net, just with the low swing weight, the low static weight. It just feels very crisp. And then like you can't feel the ball as much, say, as compared to like the DVD on the face, but I do enjoy that buttery smooth feeling. It just feels really good on your body, on your arm. And then some people don't like that, more the stiffer it is, I feel like the more vibration you get in your arms. So if you don't like that, you will love the Loco, because I didn't feel like I was getting too much feedback there. And so it really excels at the net. If you're looking, the only place it has the drawback is that power, but it really is a great control-oriented paddle that doesn't leave you lacking in that pop and power area. And like I said, the paddle itself doesn't maybe generate the pop on its own. So if you're looking at, just like a block, and you didn't move the paddle at all, it's not going to pop off the face. But if you are, get a little bit of short burst speed, you can really get it moving fast with how light it is and punch that ball back quickly. That's my thought. 6-0 double black diamond 16mm is one of the best all court paddles around. And honestly, if you are looking for a paddle and you're not really sure what you want, then this is a great one to go with, because it just performs in every aspect of the game pretty well. I mean, it doesn't excel at any one thing, and for some people, that's exactly what you need. The resets are great. The sweet spot is very wide. The paddle is very stable in your hands. The spin is not at the highest end, but it's very good. You're not gonna be suffering from lack of spin. Your serves, your drives, your overheads will have enough power, enough spin. Dinking with this paddle is excellent. I think the hybrid shape might be my favorite shape for dinking. It's very easy to do speed ups with this paddle. It's very maneuverable at the net with the swing weight of 114. You don't have to add lead tape at all to make it playable. I do personally prefer it with 3 grams at 4 and 8 o'clock on each side, but it's very playable in the stock form. Rolls are really great. The hybrid shape is great for rolls. It's great for flicks. I feel like that it getting wider towards the top is great for a lot of people. If you look at your ball marks on your paddle, mine are all like towards the upper middle half. Like I barely have any towards my handle. So like I really enjoy it getting wider towards the top. So overall, that's how I think it performed on the court. Let's get into my conclusion on whether I think you should buy this paddle. So I really did enjoy the Ruby the first time I used it, but I have grown to like it more and more. So I am glad that I did wait on this review. I have mentioned my thoughts in other videos, but like the areas that I really enjoy this paddle are dinking, hitting drops, and hitting resets. So let's get into the drops. I also like the drives with it. The drops and the drives just seems like you can get, especially with the extra spin and the extra dwell time, I can get a little bit more shape on the ball, and it seems like I can loop it over the net and get it to drop more into the kitchen, which especially, I mean, obviously for your drops, that's where you want it. You want it to be dropping deeper into the kitchen, but on those less powered drives, when you can dip it over the net and get people to have to block the ball, under the net line, that's when you get those pop-ups that you can come in, have your partner crash or you crash in the shake and bake, and that just lets you set things up very well when you're driving, when you're dropping. The ball just feels very nice on the paddle. It feels very soft when you're going to swing, and then the Ruby itself lets you access power when you need to, crank those serves, crank those drives, and finish overheads. It feels very nice, and it feels very stable, controlled when you're resetting. My transition game is amazing with this paddle. Lets you get to the net a lot better than a lot of other paddles. And then it lets you finish, those overheads. Where you start seeing some weaknesses is in hands battles. It does have a 118 swing weight. I did feel like, it's in that hybrid shape. I wanted it to be a little bit faster in the hands. It's not slow in the hands, so it's not like that's a major drawback, but I did want it, I wanted it to be a little bit faster, but you get adjusted to it. But where it really lacks is in that pop. So you do have that great twist weight, you have that great control, you have that great spin, but it's lacking in that pop area, which is the reason why in my paddle battle that I said that I preferred the DBD. But I have been able to get past that pop issue. It's just, that's okay. So let's talk about my gameplay thoughts for the course Shapeshifter. So with that 3 layers, the top layer being the 18K carbon fiber, and then you got the T700 carbon fiber, and the bottom layer being the fiberglass. It's a good blend of pop and power. It's, on the all court spectrum, but kind of leaning, if you're going 50-50, you probably go like 55% power. So it's got more power and pop than the double black diamond. So I think it's, kind of like its closest competitor. Just, playing with it, that kind of reminds me of playing with the double black diamond, and I really enjoyed my time with the double black diamond. So I was like, all right, I enjoy that feeling. So when it does come in a higher swing weight by 2 points compared to my double black diamond, so that can account for the power, but doesn't really explain the extra pop, which is more of the fiberglass. But it gets amazing spin. So that checks the box for you know, getting all my spin shots going, my drives, my drops, my rolls, everything. You know, my top spin dinks, everything felt good there. You can feel the ball coming off the paddle face really well, so it's on the stiffer side, but you get a really good connection to the ball if you like that. I do enjoy that. I mean, I do love my Kevlar paddles too, but it's always nice to have that more, have some more connection to the ball. Drops were really smooth with the Shapeshifter. I did find a little bit when, you know, you're facing some really hard topspin drives that with the pop, you know, of the fiberglass, when it really, that fiberglass seems to get activated, you know, the more pressure it's under. So either you're putting the pressure on or, you know, your opponent's putting the pressure on. It did seem like I had a little adjustment with that, so just note that. And then it's a very stable paddle on blocks and resets. I tried adding some weight to it, 3 grams at 4 and 8 o'clock. I don't think it needs the weight unless you want a little bit more power, a little bit wider sweet spot. I really liked it stock, so always enjoy it when I can play a paddle stock. So that was fun. And the blocks and resets, you know, very, very generous sweet spot and very easy to block and reset with. I enjoyed it. Not too many problems with pop-ups on this. And so I was able to place my dinks well, and I was able to hit very aggressive dinks, my two-handed backhand, topspin dinks, and my forehand dinks, and then get into hands battles with speed-ups with how maneuverable the paddle is and how it's got a little extra pop on it. Good finishing power. I enjoyed it all around. It's just a great, it just performs really well all around. Doesn't really excel in any one area. Just like the double black diamond, which is more of a slightly leaning more control, I would say, than the Shapeshifter, but they're very close. But I would say the Shapeshifter is just a more aggressive option. Performs well all around. I would have no problem taking this to a tournament and enjoyed my experience with it, and definitely will be picking it back up to put in the rotation.